How you doing, man?
Good, bro. How are you?
I'm not too bad, man. Can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you brand new.
Shut up, wait a minute, I'll turn this up. So, could you hear any music or any of that kind of shit right now?
No, I can't hear any music. I can hear you though.
Right, so I stay above a pub, right? And I'm just sitting here chilling, man, and then fucking they've got a performer on down the stairs. So I was like, ah, shit. So I didn't know if you can't hear it, then it'll be fine, it'll not come through.
Nah, but I'm good. I can just hear you loud and
Right,
clear.
shut up, bro, quality. No, let's say, Gary, it's fucking banging to talk to you, man. I've spent essentially the last 3 days watching everything you ever made.
Oh my God.
As I like to be fucking revised, man, and I wasn't until I was looking through the stuff, I was like, fucking hell, I've got like 2 days to watch over this stuff.
There's a healthy back catalogue now, I think.
No, I mean it's looking good, man. I mean the thing is, it's that's what I was thinking about. So I was in a situation where I was like, what should we start with, really? But I mean, what's the best thing to go for? Because we'll just do your work in like a chronological order, if you're all right with that. Just
Aye.
cover some shit, see whatever you remember for it and stuff like that. So for folk that are unfamiliar with your work, like tell us a bit about yourself.
Uh, I don't know. I write direct movies, I guess, that have a bit of a social conscience to them, like trying to like maybe raise awareness and empathy, social issues, but using film as that sort of conduit for it.
Hmm. Yeah. The thing is, it's really strongly comes through in your work, man. Because I mean, let's say everybody's child. That was uh, that was a tough watch, But the thing is, you know what's interesting about it? Like the connection it has, like that's obviously based, obviously your own life experience. For anybody that's unfamiliar, everybody's child is essentially an autobiographical account of your life. Would you say?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, what do you remember about making that? Because that would have been what 10, 15 years ago you made that, something like that.
I was like 2012, I think we started on World AIDS Day. I just remember like something significant about starting the movie on World AIDS Day because we took on like obviously uh, HIV and stuff like that in the city.
Mm.
I, I don't know. I was in a weird place because I was obviously still addicted while making a movie, so it was a bit of a weird thing inviting a film crew into my life, so to speak, and having like 6 months. And then I think for the first 8 weeks, we got the style quite wrong. So I had to sort of look at it in a visceral sense because it was like me talking to the camera, and I just felt it wasn't. It was a bit like Frank Gallagher, like me walking down the street talking to the camera. So I needed to figure out another way of doing it. So just in terms of documentary filmmaking, like having a like internal dialogue over the pictures gave it a more sort of documentary feel. So aye, it was great. It was a good movie, I think.
Mm. It's actually you think it was fucking brilliant, man. It was really good, really good. Like I mean, especially for it being like cinematography of it, like the angles, stuff like that. Because what's interesting, obviously, the most recent work you've done, what we'll talk about, supply and demand. That's obviously like semi-fictional, obviously, but there's a lot of fucking reality attached to it. But like that's all written, whereas yours obviously like a biographical account for the first one. So it's obviously the in style of writing. How is that different for like constructing a documentary to then that series?
Well, making a documentary is a bit like a train crash. You're not really too sure where it's going to go, where the drama is very fixed. So, like, I'll write the drama and then I'll create like, I don't know, I learned this with Danny Boyle and it really sticks with me. Like, I might not know what I'm doing in the afternoon, but I know what I'm doing in the morning when I'm doing the drama. Like, I know that if I shoot this shot, just in the edit, the only other shot is going to work is this shot here. So it's like I go on a medium, like 2 shots a time. So if somebody asked me what we're doing, 3 shots doing, 4 shots doing, I couldn't really tell you, but I can tell you what I'm doing at this precise moment to get what we need and for the edit. So the drama is very fixed like that. I feel like with drama there is like, even though we're talking just now, like the eyes are the window to the soul. So where you put the camera at first is very important to get like that first heightened emotion, and then after that it's sort of trying to recapture that the essence of that emotion, I guess. But with the documentary, going into like Aggie's house, I guess, and apologising for like bringing heroin and that back into her house, or like making amends to people on camera, coming back through the tea hall like that created like a big, like so many people go back in touch with me after that who had obviously jumped about with T Hall, so it opened up the avenues and stuff like that. So it was good to use the camera as healing. Like I want to do a part two about, I guess, more about the recovery element, because part one kind of focused on addiction, whereas part two, I'd like to obviously speak about what it's like to be in recovery and I guess healing, still in that healing journey and stuff like that as well. So, but it would just have to be like supply and demand and everything else. It'll just have to be self-funded now, because nobody with money. Well, that's a lie. A couple of investors actually who didn't have anything to do with the film industry came in and helped, and continue to help. So I'm kind of like in a good position where I can operate on like 30, 40 grand budgets and maybe start trying to make money off of them now. Do you know what I mean? I've never done that before. I've usually tried to make a film for other people, like Everybody's Child was for Creative Scotland and BBC. But like even at that, like I signed a contract and get like 15% back of the profits or some shit like that. Like I'll never see a penny. So like just how important it is for you to sign contracts properly so you have ownership. So like say you distribute it, then you own a certain amount of that distribution deal now.
Yeah, it's interesting actually you say that about doing a part two, because somebody had commented, I think it's on, because obviously I watched it on Amazon Prime, I think that's where it's sitting now, and somebody wrote a comment like, really hard hitting, this could be anybody's situation, and they wrote the last part of the comment was, it'd be interesting to see how Gary's getting on now, which I was like, that's kind of cool, because considering, like, I mean, supply and demand, that was fucking shit hot. Like, everything's improving, the quality's improving, the storyline's improving, you know what I mean, compared to fucking, like, it's all looking really fucking good.
Even making the shorts, I guess making the shorts is like, I say that to anybody who wants to make movies, like, didn't try and make a feature movie. Go and make like 3 or 4 shorts and like make loads of mistakes and figure out what your mistakes are, and then jump up and make a feature. Do you know what I mean? I like making like this thing here. Like I wasn't going to do a part four. I was going to do it as a trilogy. And then somebody came in and was like, look, before I even left the meeting, he was just like, look, I'll help you, whatever it is that you need. And I was like, fuck me, brilliant. So then I went away and used ChatGPT to like help me structure what a part four would look like. And then I was like, okay. And then I sort of took a wee bit of that structure and then looked at the newspapers and the news, I guess, with MI5 and everything that they're up to just now. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is all food for thought,
Mm.
you
Wait,
know.
so you're going to do a part supply and demand part four?
Now, we've got to do part four. So what I'm going to do is, like, I've got some investment. So I've got like 2,500 quid to spend on creating like a website, but it'll be like you can basically I can host the movies on it. So like I'll take Everybody's Child, put it on there. I'll take the grey area, put it on there. I'll take like part four of Supply and Demand and put it on there. So when I complete it, put the behind the scenes and the trailer up onto YouTube, and then try and drive the YouTube traffic to the website, the standalone website, and on that you can just click it and just stream it yourself, and you'll obviously just pay us. So that's me trying to like take that. I love using ChatGPT, but I was getting it to help me look at my existing audience and using the analytics. Like I think at the 3 episodes at the moment, it's got like 104,000 views or something. So I need to get 5 or 10% of that audience to be paying for the films that I'm making to go into profit, which is above the 30, 40 grand it takes to invest and actually make them. So like if that can happen over the next 12 months, then I've found a way to actually just make independent media and tap into that scheme audience and get that revenue coming back in. Do you know, I've wanted to create like it was good because when we done Supply and Demand, I created these acting academies during lockdown. So like I made just loads of people lot to come and learn how to do screen acting and stuff like that. So I used that as a filtering system. So like this year, I'm now trying to create like the acting academy, but I was also going to create like another platform, which is around like recovery focused media. So it's just like maybe contacting loads of charities and that up and down the country and say to them like, look, we're willing to do some sort of training, but we need to collate like loads of short films to put them up onto this platform. So it's just now using the technology, I guess, to try and just create your own platforms. Because again, look at the fucking country with drug deaths. There's no anybody making loads of movies, and there should be people making movies in Fife, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Falkirk, fucking Dundee, and places to host that, but there's no that. So I think you just have to build that over the next, for me anyway, just making that a bit of a mission over the next year is creating something independent, but also creating something more like mainstream, I guess.
That's banging, Gary, because that's I was actually talking to Ian the other day about this exact thing about how can indie producers monetize their work because inevitably we're creating stuff that we enjoy, stuff that we're passionate about, stuff that often we feel like we're like it's God given. We're meant to be here to do this thing. That's why we're walking around to do this thing. But you can't do that and work a fucking 40-hour week. It's challenging, because you're just going to thin the amount of work you can produce. So that format you're describing, I think stand-up comedians are beginning to adopt that, where it's like all their specials and shit like that. Instead of putting it on Netflix, they'll have just a standalone website. Folk can go straight to it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think like, I've seen documentaries do it, and I've seen some comedians at the Fringe release stuff on their own web presence after and I guess that's the thing. Like in Scotland, like there is film festivals, but like the one up in Inverness and Edinburgh and Glasgow, and I think they do try to be inclusive, but they're much more. Their appetite is more for stuff out with these shows rather than like really promoting and nurturing homegrown talent because they should be like the film festivals between Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, like they should. And I'm not just meaning like what they've got just now because like I think what they've got just now doesn't really like it's not really trauma informed because it's not by design to be trauma informed. But I think if they were really being serious about creating accessibility around the arts, they would have a much bigger drive to try and create filtering systems for guys within schemes and stuff like that, or like, the ones with the complex needs.
Yeah. The
You
thing
know,
is that often a lot of the time when I'm looking over these film festivals, it does seem a bit, not to say elitist, but it's got that theme where it's like if you're not already included in it, you're going to be struggling to get there. You really have to. You couldn't just send over a piece of work that matches or exceeds the criteria. You got to show up, and the networking is just as crucial. And it could be that thing where you show up, and if your taste of filmmaking isn't what they're looking for, inevitably you're not going to get hit.
well, I stopped doing it because as soon as I went in recovery, I kept going to film festivals and they kept trying to give me free wine, and I was like I can't come off with all the drugs and drink free wine at film festivals because I was doing that quite a lot. I'd got clean off the drugs, and then I'd be at the film festivals and they'd all be fucking like wine, 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 and I just got to a stage like I just want to make the films. Like the proof's
Mm,
in the pudding, and I think that's the thing. Like the proof is in the pudding. Like I'm very confident that I've got something that works in terms of like people want to see it. I love the craft, and if you can just find a way of bypassing all the middlemen, I think that's just the way you have to go with your independence. Like contact painter and decorators, scaffolders, fucking joiners, all the people with their own wee brands and stuff like that to ask them for sponsorship. Include businesses. Like there's other ways to skin a cat than just got to create
mm,
Scotland or BBC. And I think if you're being serious about, or no, I need to, like, I think you have to have some sort of part-time job or full-time, but like definitely part-time doing what you love. And then the rest of that time is then paid for you to do your creative stuff, which just means that you've got a part-time job to pay your rent.
yeah.
But your other creative thing is feast or famine. Like I've had like fucking loads of money, no money, loads of money, no money with
Uh,
supply and demand. So, you know,
Anything I'm making, I'm working, and I've got no money. That's what
yeah.
I'm sitting like.
I rattled it. Like I was like 42 grand or something, like managing to raise between the three of them and stuff like that. But like I'm stupid with money. Like I fucking just blow it. Do you know what I mean? So I've always been like that. So I don't know. Respect. Somebody says to me the other day that money doesn't sleep. I was like, I know, but
That's quite good. Yeah, I like
you
that.
know,
You mentioned there about it being just so you can work on the craft. Is that how you see it? Like, do you see it as, again, the conversation the other day, we were talking about the notion of somebody that's trying to master the craft. They go from somebody that's just trying to complete a project to somebody that's like analytically looking at it like an engineer. Would you say you're
oh,
kind of like that?
I'm like obsessed. Like I'm obsessed with the nature of being a director and exactly what is that I'm doing. Like what's subconscious, what's conscious, how to how do you have like a feeling at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning that just overwhelms your imagination and your creativity to the point that a memory becomes a truth? And if you can take that truth and put it down on a bit of paper, and then like 8 months later, you have a room full of people bringing that truth to light, and then like 6 weeks down the line for that, you then have another injection of life again in the edit, and it's like even with supply and demand, like I loved making people laugh because when the drama's there, you're not really too sure if it works until the end because people come up and ask you questions about the drama. Whereas if you write in comedy, people laugh immediately and they laugh with their belly in the audience. So you can like be a conductor of emotions when you write a good screenplay. You know, you can have them laughing, and then 2 minutes later you have them shocked with a slashing, and then 5 minutes after that you've got them fucking hanging with this like orchestral music in the wind at a castle, like all that visceral stuff, like that's studying the craft.
Mm.
You know, like it's no accident. They didn't just so happen to be at this windswept romantic Crichton Castle. Like that landscape where you put your actors is just as important as the look in the eye. But even the performances for the guys, like Phil Coppola's performances, the wee guy that played my son, wee Brad, like they all gave good performances and stuff like that as well. So if you can encapsulate that full process between writing, screenwriting, people management, cast, crew, everybody's fucking problems and that they go through in life, bringing all that. So it becomes like, yeah, you're just, as I say, you become a conductor at the orchestra if you can do it correctly.
Yeah. One of the things that I liked over when you watch it from part one, two, and three, you see the characters become more comfortable. Like the actors become more comfortable with their character. Like it's really apparent. Part three was like really fine polished. You know.
I was good to jail as well. Like
I
we
was going to
shot
ask
and
about that. How did you manage to like? How did you scout that? What is that? How did you manage to achieve that?
well, we were shooting it. We were shot a short film last year with Berlini and a charity called Cisco, and then we got that as a location. And then I messaged the woman, or I got somebody to message the woman and say, any chance we can come back? And he says, aye. And then I contacted a governor at Stockton who I knew, and I says to him, can I shoot up at the car park and stuff like that? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then he was like, maybe come back in and do like a talk to the prisoners or some shit like that. And I was like, aye, no problem. And then I was in Pullman, working in Pullman as well. So like obviously I tell all the prison officers what it is that I'm doing, the type of people that I'm working with. They just some of them are all right. So they just like, aye, whatever it takes to get the guys on the right path. So I'll probably go back in and do a couple of talks in the jail and stuff like that and show the movie and just like obviously making positive
Mm.
choices for your life rather than negative ones.
That's brilliant, man. I mean, that's more than filmmaking.
Yeah, that's why I love it. That's why I love it. Is like I remember when I got clean off the drugs and I was doing the Narcotics Anonymous meetings as I was looking at my addictions and my life, my character defects, and all that sort of stuff. And I remember the guy was asking me like, if you take away the director for you, this persona that you've built up, like who are you? And I couldn't tear that out of my identity. You know, it was such enshrined in my identity that I just had it in my head. I was like, like you can't take that from me. That's who I am. You know. And then I went and made the grey area. So
Mm.
fuck him.
Yeah. I mean, I never got to have a look at the grey area. Could you talk about that?
It was good. Bit a complicated issue at the moment, but it was a great experience for everybody. Didn't regret it. You know, it was a good experience. I want to do a part two of that and a follow up to that as well.
Right. I mean, what is your creative process when you're sitting there thinking about writing for projects and stuff like that? Like, how do you? Because I was thinking about that before when you said you go from one scene to the next scene, you don't think three scenes ahead. Storyboard wise, I'd imagine that's not how you would do a storyboard.
No, like this is where the crew hate me really because no cunt knows what we're doing until I show up on the day. And when you've got fucking 17 people or like a big crew there, that's not really the best. Like it puts the AD at an unfair
Mm.
disadvantage. Everybody's playing catch up, but like sometimes I just have to go on instinct. Like I just didn't know until I'm there. But also as well, like I'm also looking at the dynamics of the relationship between the cast, the crew, who we've got locations off of. So like there's no point with coming in with a short list if I'm going to a place where somebody was stabbed last night, because I'll have to manoeuvre it all around so I didn't really like infringe on the communities that I'm in,
Mm.
you know. So
Yeah.
I just you just have to go on instinct quite a lot of the time. But again, when I'm doing the recce's, like I walk over these locations a million and one times before I'm there with a film crew. Like I
Yeah.
walk through it, I talk through it, I look and see if there's any reflection shots off of the windies. I look to see where the sun is at, which is really important, I guess, because I didn't have a lot of lighting. I'm always like, while I'm out doing my recce's, I'm trying to gauge where the sun is at for the type of light that's going to be there for when we're shooting. So like I'd show up at a set at like a location at 10 o'clock in the morning in a sort of wintry. I know where the sun's going to be low. I know that it's going to be hard shadows. And I know that I didn't have a lot of time. So I'm always fighting the exposure, I guess.
Mm. So
So
what,
I
you never do a storyboard ever. So for part one, two, or three, you're not the one storyboard. Fucking
no
hell. That's
no
insane. That is insane that
only
you managed to,
only
without
he
saying that, Gary, like you managed to produce what you've produced without a fucking storyboard. That's insane.
it's all in the head. It's just all and it's like when you go to sleep and you dream, that's what I'm like the days leading up to making the movie. It's like it doesn't really sit in my head until like maybe 48 hours before, and I'm just lying there on bed, and it's like I just have this sort of pre-visualization of it right through, and then it just for that point there it just makes sense. And I guess when I do show up and I didn't really know what I'm doing, I have the confidence to say I didn't really know just now. And everybody says I go into like this mode, but I'm not really too sure where it is that I go, and I just sort of, we just get going.
Mhm. So do you not think, how would you handle doing a project that wasn't based in areas you're familiar with?
All right, it'd be a bit weird because I'm used to just shooting in like Leaf, Muirhouse, Pout, and whatever. But uh, I was doing in Newcastle before, and that was quite cool. Do you know, I mean, when I'm away at different places, they've like, oh, Trainspotting director and that. So it's like,
Mm.
they obviously think I'm something that I'm not. But I just play on it and just, aye.
How did you manage to get the train spotting job?
Um, what happened? I was in a homeless hostel. I got a flat. Everyone Welsh phoned me, says that Danny Boyle wanted my phone number. Gave Danny my phone number. He asked me if he wanted to get a coffee. He says he was doing train spotting too. So I was like, yeah, sure. I came down to my office and Leaf. Uh, Me and a wee guy, wee Handel was there. And then he asked me if I wanted to act in the part two. And I said, I didn't act. I said, I want to direct. Like, I want to be like you. Like, I want to direct. And then he asked me what I thought of part one. And I says, I didn't really like part one. I says, I thought it glamorized heroin a wee bit, but it was just my opinion. And then that night, I brought him up to this acting workshop that I was doing for the grey area, these improvisation workshops. It came up, and the guys done great performances. It was like theatre. Uh, and then at the end of that night, it was like, I'm going to get all your guys cast. And then for about 2 weeks, I was walking around feeling sorry for myself, thinking I've got everybody with lived experience in. Well, I gave myself the exit. And then he phoned me up and he was just like, look, I'm not giving you a bouquet of flowers and I'm going to tell you to go out and do stuff. You've got to do exactly what I tell you to do and you've got to come back. And it's not going to be what I want. Do you want the job? He said, it's not very well paid. It's like 300 quid a day or something. And I was like, 300 quid a day for me was like fucking massive. I'm like, yep, perfect. So went out and sort of smashed it. Like I went out and they gave us like two folders, a short list for the script. They gave us a script to read and gave us a shooting outline. And they asked, I remember the producer was like, "Are you capable? What is it? How do you feel?" I went, "Easy days, mate." And the camera operator that was working with me left, he was like, "Fuck's sake, easy days." And I was like, "Mate." And it was just good. We were working in a studio, shooting all around Edinburgh, shooting in Leith, having big crowds of people watching you at work, which is a bit of an experience. Shooting with Robert Carlyle, like shot a scene with Robert Carlyle, shot a scene with Ewan Bremner, had a fag with Ewan McGregor. Um, I knew I was there because when it became a reality, we were on set and they all done their Sean Connery voice, and I chipped in, and I felt like it wasn't really appropriate because obviously that was something that they had for the first one. But it was good. It was just a great experience.
What did you? So, I mean, that must have been fucking like Twilight Zone shit. You know, standing there and this is it, and now you're like in that situation. You're the conductor on fucking Trainspotting 2. That's bizarre.
I was crazy. I was doing Trainspotting 2, finished on set and jumped away to the studio and recording music, recording rap music, and then back
Mm.
to the set again. And I was like, caught a glimpse of myself, like, fuck's sake, like, you're all about the papers. Every cunt knows who you are. You're away recording in a studio. You're hitting a film, Hollywood movie, hitting the studio, back there, still got life problems going on, like the usual shit, you know, still trying to deal with life on life's terms. So, aye,
Some good shit, like.
it was a good experience. It was good. And so the producer phoned me up and he was like, by the way, I just want you to say, like, at your age, Danny wasn't getting the opportunities that you think that you're entitled to. And it was just like, keep going. Like, you'll get hit like 50. I think it was like a 50-year-old, you might start getting rewards or some shit like that, which is still in a couple of years. So I'm still prepared for, like, I might have to just keep doing what I'm doing until maybe a bigger shot comes in. But he says to me, Danny phoned me from New York. And he says, look, I'm going to be in New York. I can't pick up my BAFTA in Scotland. Do you want to go and pick up my BAFTA for me? So that was quite an experience. Like, obviously, got to pick up Best Direction for Trainspotting 2, the Scottish BAFTAs and stuff like that as well.
Mhm. So there's a thing that we were talking about last week where it was like how life is cyclic and what happens, like it kind of repeats itself in some fashion, you know. So maybe that was a dress rehearsal for when you're 50 and you're picking up your own one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think as well, it's like I've got a few films that if they got even half a chance of getting made, I think they're cracking films. I think they're just like Scotland by far has shot itself in the foot for the last 30 years when it comes to making ambitious films or making movies that you kind of go, it's like Scottish homegrown movies with commercial appeal. You know, we fucking look down on ourselves that much that we didn't really know what we're capable of until we actually just say, now fuck this.
Mm.
Like, make films that like really push who you are as a culture. You know, I think we're colonized. And the first thing with colonization is culture.
Mm.
It's what they take, you know. So people are fighting for scraps and looking in the wrong direction. Where really, if you can make stuff and get it out, then you just have to do it.
Mm. So we were talking about that just the other day. Actually, with somebody saying about how why don't I speak Gaelic? And I was like, because cultural assimilation happened. That's why. But that's interesting because that there it's like building it back up. When we're talking about the indie industry the other day, and just about the fact that it's like this, it's being constructed from the ground up. You know, all the individual like things you're describing now, and you know, it's just it seems to be on the cusp. It feels like a wee bit, you know, because I have that set. If I'm being honest, Gary, I have that situation where I'm like, I have thoughts of like I'm creating Scotland's Family Guy. That's what I'm doing. I'm here to do that. Like when I think about the past 10, 15 years, the thing I've came to resolve myself was like if it takes me until I'm fucking mid 50s, 60s, then that's the timeline that the universe has said, mate, that's the stamina that's required if you really want this fucking thing. And I use people like fucking Morgan Freeman or like Ricky Gervais, people that became like like they became known of their craft way later in life. It's not this thing where we're in a culture where it's kind of like if you're no 1920, you're not got a chance, and that's fucking bullshit. So it's just it's inspiring to hear you describing similar situations where it's like as a creator.
You just got to hold on. It's like when you believe in it as well. Like, I guess with like the films, for me, I feel like I need it like I can breathe. You know, like my very breath is how I look at it. Because when you have it and it's that severe, that you can manifest anything. Like Phil Moon the other night there, I'm writing stuff down and trying to visualize stuff. Like, I greatly believe like you can, like, that's the trick of getting out of the matrix is getting in touch with your intuition and what your inner voices are telling you. You know what all these external news factors and fucking blah blah, all this white noise that affects us. Like when you really look within, it's like you. I guess you might, when you're creating your thing, you get into like a higher consciousness. You know,
Mm,
like this makes sense, and people relate to it and speak to it, and you go, ah, I want to take it to Earlo and take it
mm,
to get loads of people. Do you know what I mean? And that
yeah.
that there, that's just chipping away at the block.
Mhm. That's exactly how it feels. That's, I mean, if I was saying to my son the other day, right, when I have to be careful, Gary, because I've got a tendency to be manic as, I'm really holding myself back, man, because I'm like manic as fuck. Like when I'm watching back my videos and I'm editing them, I don't have any kind of listens to me, man. But anyway, that's what I was saying to my boy the other day. I was like, when you become creative and you get like the idea, for the project, it's kind of like you're like an archaeologist where you're like digging away a wee bit and you see a wee bone, and that's your first idea, and you're like, oh shit, hot. So you keep digging, so you keep repeating the idea, you keep repeating the craft, and it begins to take shape. And what you thought was like just a tiny wee thing is actually this massive animal under the surface. It's just taking you to continuously chip away at it constantly. And that's how it kind of feels. That's why it feels like this is like creativity is alive, and it uses each one of us like as like a fucking almost like a template, just it channels itself through us. And that's what I said last week, where I was like, the things that are necessary for us to channel that idea, it's your personality, it's your life experience, and it's your physical ability for your craft. And these three things, it's like that. The thing I picture in my mind is like, you know, when you're at school and you got the wee like plasticine machine fucking thing, and I had like a square and a triangle and like that. So that's what each one of us is each a different shape, and the plasticine's the fucking the thought process. It's the idea. So we all have access to that. We all have access to the same like creative landscape, and but we're all just fucking different shapes, so we produce our own different thing, you know.
No, I completely agree. That's why I like taking DMT sometimes. Like, how can you take this thing where everybody around the world has this same shit?
Mm,
Like, I can take it here and somebody can take it in fucking Brazil, and we both see the same thing. Like, that to me is like, well, wait a minute. Maybe we all come for the same thing. Maybe there's a source code
mm,
that they didn't teach you at high school, that they didn't teach you at primary school, that you have to go through emotional adversity on earth in order to experience. And that comes through creativity. And that's what I mean about you have to be obsessed with it. Like, for me, like, as much as I have loads of people around me, like, I'm not lonely, but I'm definitely isolated in order
mm,
to reflect. Like, I didn't go to clubs, I didn't go to pubs, I didn't fucking like social. Like, my socialization comes through fighting and training,
mm,
and everything else is very stoic. You know, like self discipline, cold showers, sitting down. Right, like I went through like no three the hardest weeks in my life, but like definitely like three fucking really difficult, like every day, like when's this going to be over type weeks. And I wrote three songs, you know, and I was like sitting looking at that, like it came out like that. It didn't come out in the screenplay, it didn't come out in, but I was listening to the songs, I was like, fuck me, like they're good songs about everything that I'm going through right now. Like I need to record, and that's where I was like, fuck me, like that shows me the ability to tap into that stuff. And that was through like meditation, smoking cannabis, but fucking training like a motherfucker, eating good, and no falling into devices and no falling into old behaviours while I was going through the struggle,
mm.
you know,
Yeah,
and that
before,
comes out in the art.
yeah. Yeah, before, because I definitely want to talk. I know for a fact, cunts will be watching this, but like talk about DMT because you mentioned it, guaranteed, right? But before we talk about that, you know, when you're talking about adversity and stuff like that, I've got there's a fucking quote I hate to try and find that you said, um, yeah, that's it. And the thing you went, just to emphasize it, you're like, I'm walking through your house and people are stealing cars and motorbikes. There's drug dealing going on. It's fucking close to gang wars. As an artist, would you not rather that, or would you rather walk through Morningside with beautiful houses and none happening? You know, and that's exactly it. That's like there's like a fucking like tragedy produces beauty as a consequence of the reflection of it. Really.
Yeah, the trenches, it's like, I don't know, like wherever I am, whatever city, I can go to like almost any fucking scheme and can't know who I am because you know your own. You know, and that's been like Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, Fife, fucking Newcastle. Like it's just never ending like that. Because the world is a reflection of you. So if you're not trying to take the cunt out of these people and staying true to yourself, you know, like your ego can get you hurt and killed in environments like that very fast, because people are only fucking about. They're dying to live or living to die. You know, like it's quite severe, the consequences. Like I like university and I love the art of conversation, but that's lost on a lot of cunts for the scheme. They're
Yeah.
no educated. They don't want to be talking about fucking Heraclitus and the world in flux. They want to be talking about how much money have you got in your pocket and why are you looking at me like that.
Yeah.
So it's different. So the way you move has to be different. The way you, like, I'm a great believer that everybody gets diagnosed with PTSD if you come for a scheme, right? They just diagnose you, you give them the symptoms, and they just go, you got PTSD. But I always find it interesting because I think it's not really PTSD when you're going through it, because that's called living on your wits. But when you remove that person from that environment and put them in a more calm environment, their autoimmune system is still regulated to the war that's just went on with their nervous system. So I find, and that's when it becomes PTSD. So I find all that shit interesting, like really, really interesting with human behaviors and stuff like that as well. And I think that stuff then leaks into the storylines or and stuff like that as well.
Hmm. That's really fucking insightful, man. I mean, that's like it's just it's good to hear because it's so much of Scotland is contained in that. That's what it's like. It's like to the point where it's like even like as a culture we put ourselves down. It's like there's this cultural fucking suppression of like if you do anything good, you better not tell anybody because cunts are immediately just going to be fucking like, mate, that's like they're just going to attack you for that like expression, you know. Like you know, it's interesting actually. Like a couple of months ago, I was having a conversation about that, and about how the notion of you have to be defensive every day. That's what it's kind of like. It's just like conversation, body language, everything like that. And I realized like a couple of years ago, but I was talking about a couple of months ago about the notion of like I thought like being happy was a sign of weakness. You know, it's like if you look happy, you're weak. That's what that's which is fucking ridiculous. But that's kind of like the environment in that context, really.
Well, I was training in Thailand, so I was like just in the jungle, fucking in Phuket, and you were around like some real fucking gangsters, but they looked at you differently. They bowed and they smiled, and they have a different way of living completely compared to us. Like I'm not going to just keep saying people in schemes, but like a lot of people I know get up in the morning, do what they need to do, shut that front door, and when they walk out of that front door, it's like they're prepared to die.
Mm.
You know, like they're so itching to be hard, so itching like chasing money, being hard. Like this country is sick with that stuff, you know, and that's a shame because people then buy into the illusion of your devices can make things better, your desires can make things better, and they're just sold that through gambling, through fucking porn, through fucking OnlyFans, through like drug addiction, through alcoholism. Like we're just fucked as a population, as a society like that. You know, we're very, and that means again, that's what I'm meaning about. You then have all this other complex needs that people think that they've got this and they've got that, and it's a massive part of it is to do with our lifestyle.
Mm. Do you find a lot of that though? A lot of those reactions and the like, it's just the lower socioeconomic scale. You know, your standard of living and your reaction to life is different from the prior. It's a survival mechanism constantly.
Yeah. Your manipula's gone constantly. Your body then produces all these cortisol, all these
Mm,
other types of hormones that then have other effects on you. You're not training the way you're supposed to train. Like you become sick in the head.
mm.
So and it's easier to believe the shit that's on the telly than what it is to face up to the reality. You know, a lot of us are just like fucking dopamine slaves.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely. It's. I mean, that's almost exclusively what the internet is. Like,
Yeah.
the part of the fact that there's like a dark web on the internet kind of like encapsulates the notion that the whole internet is like just a psychological expression of humanity. You know, the dark web's the fucking shadow element, like the fact that there's just it's all themed through dopamine and like reward systems. That's the main emphasis of it.
Yeah. And that's where we're sick. I think that's like I think as a culture and society, it's where we need to start retraining our brains again as well. You know, like we need much more critical thinkers and people asking why for stuff rather than like on your knees to all this fucking consumerism that comes with it as well. You know, and I'm guilty of it. Like, don't get me wrong, fuck me. I'm away up the town spending hundreds of quid on fucking trainers and going into cruise when I've got no money. Like, fuck me. Like, I'm just as guilty as I'm not like sitting here like I am a saint who meditates 6 hours of the day and fucking has DMT for breakfast. Like, that's not who I am. But I know what my fight is.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, I
know,
think
I
it's though
know.
that's an interesting point, Gary, because it's like that's like to be able to like self-reflect doesn't mean that you're kind of out of the fucking fishbowl type thing. Because I'm the same. Like I do the same. Everybody has their own. If you're able to be introspective enough, you should be able to. It's like you're almost like a passive observer to yourself. That's what it's kind of like, where you're looking at your own self as like, oh fuck, like that's a negative characteristic, or that's a negative. Like anytime. So last year, I wasn't smoking for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, right? And one of the things, because of the fact that I was smoking since I was about 13, one of the things I realized when I was like, all the negative characteristics I associated with cannabis was actually just my fucking personality. And it wasn't until I got rid of it, I was like, oh shit, it's me, man, you know? And I think that's, you could, if we applied that to like ourselves as like a culture, it's certainly, it'd be helpful.
The cannabis is a weird one for me because, like, I'm training, so I shouldn't be smoking anything, joints or fags. Like, I shouldn't be smoking a single thing because I obviously need the cardio to not get annihilated by 15-year-olds full of testosterone at my gym. But then I go like a day, 2 days, and I just want to murder the world. And
Mm.
it comes and goes in waves. So it's like the weirdest withdrawal symptom ever because by 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I think that's it. I've done it. I've made it. I am the guy. And then by 5 o'clock at night, I'm rewarding myself with a joint because I've done so good with no smoking it. Like, it's fucking weird. But then I write music. I smoke cannabis and write music as well.
Mm.
So I'm watching the young team sitting. He doesn't know I'm in the car the weekend, and he's
Oh, I can
putting.
see him, we
Can you
bastard,
see
and
him?
he's fucking hat on.
Aye. Look, they didn't know they're doing it. Look, you're getting robbed of the young team on a podcast,
That's fucking outrageous, man.
vandalising my car.
Fuck's sake. No, I mean, I'm
Just
just
give me
like,
a smile.
obviously,
That's because my son wrote fucking "We shall not be moved" on the back of my car, and I can tell these are wee Hibs cunts, so they've obviously wrote something like "You're dafty" or some shit like
all
that.
right, all right, but I'm be fucking taking it off.
Aye. But
Aye.
no, like that fight of desires and stuff, that's about as ancient as man itself. Do you know what I mean? I guess I'm just like at a stage now where I feel like my challenge is improving my body, improving my mind, and hopefully like get more spiritually well as well. And
Mm,
like that comes with a lot of reflection and stuff like that.
mm. I don't know how much. I was probably wouldn't be surprised. Probably looked into it quite a lot, but I fucking love alchemy, right? Just the concept of alchemy, the practice of it, how it can be applied as like a template to essentially anything in life. But using it to like the process of alchemy to the personality, you know, and applying discipline of, you know, all of us starting as the baseline metal, copper, rusty ass fucking shit, and poor habits, poor diet, discipline's gone. And then you go through like a process of transformation, and then you become the gold, you become valued, and you become the best form of yourself, like the purest sense, and you've cleansed yourself in that way. It's important to do that because then obviously you go through the cycle of continuously. And I think that's what's interesting is that you get to that place, people think that's it, job done. So now, mate, you're lucky if you get to sit there for a few days before you hate start it again.
There's a reset. That's what I liked about what Goggins said. Like this gift that we've got, it only comes for the day. Like you'll go to sleep, and then tomorrow that same amount of effort, that same amount of vigor, has to be put back into the exact same again. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to do 15 minutes yoga, I'm going to drink my electrolytes, I'm going to get. Most mornings I'm just fucking shattered. So
Mm.
I'm like, get up, coffee, feel sorry for myself for an hour, force myself to training, go to training, feel a different guy, come back, conquer. Do you know what I mean? It's like I have these like wee internal battles as well. But then sometimes, I don't know, just like even the other night that I was doing like sauna and ice baths outside, I was just like so grateful, just so grateful for just a sauna and an ice bath. It sounds daft, but just like my body was in bits for fucking training. My mind was like really good. I've managed to get what I need for part four, like just loads of accomplishment stuff after going through a shit few weeks. And I was just like very grateful to just do my sauna and the ice baths and just sit under the stars a wee bit. And that's not a bad place to be in life, that type of peace.
Yeah. I like that. I like that gratitude. You know, you can feel it. I was talking to my boy about this the other day, and about how, like, the process of like being a dad and trying to fucking try to teach them whilst not being attached to the fact that emotionally that they're always going to experience difficulty and like sadness and fucking emotional heaviness and stuff like that. And I was trying to explain to him like, listen, when shit stuff happens, I was like, it happens to all of us. That's what life is. I was like, instead of reacting to it, sit in it. You know, sitting like it doesn't matter how. I mean, it'll be fucking brutal and it'll feel paradoxical, but it's better sitting in it than reacting to it, because reacting to it can often increase the wound of that thing that's going on. And it's a lot easier fucking said than done, obviously. But that's like, it's good to have that on the wall as the aim.
When I work with the wee guys, um, one of the things I do is like I take them training and I just like let them punch away, like on you go, and then sort of I just go into a defensive mode, and then they get a wee bit tired, and then they realise like fuck, this is no easy, and then like I sort of move a wee bit, just tap them. Now I can see them a bit frustrated, and then after the session, I pull them aside and I do breathing exercises with them, and I talk to them about reacting on emotions. Because I think if you can put somebody into a stressful environment and then talk to them 10 minutes later about how stressful that was and what you done correctly, or what you never done correctly if you fucking act
Mm.
out and do all the other stuff. So like I always think with young males anyway, it's a really good like sort of stern warrior way of dealing with a young male, and sort of setting them up for life a wee bit. Because if you can take that analogy out of the boxing context and put it into life, you know, life doesn't always go your way, but how you
Mm.
react to it is the most important aspect.
Yeah, no, I fully agree on that. I take it, do you apply that same like discipline when you're like, do you need to apply the same discipline when you're making a new film, or do you just, is it like a energy on its own that just kind of pushes you?
Mm, but I have to be like sometimes my mind doesn't know the difference between reality and no reality. So if I'm going through a lot of violence in the movie, I then have to like consume a lot of my own lived experience of violence from my wee daft head, and my body doesn't know the difference. So like the heart's racing, the head's gone, the manigula. So like I have to be physically fit in order to put my body through the trauma. A bit I know the difference now, but like there's still stuff there that's unresolved. So I have to be prepared to learn something about myself again. You know, put myself into these again stressful environments where that's really what I do. I just go training, come back, and write, and that seems to be like my process now. Like just spend an hour getting battered off of fighters, and then whatever I'm writing seems to be quite easy compared to the last hour that I've just had. You know,
Mm.
and my
Yeah.
mind and my body's fit and healthy. Like I feel good. The endorphins are like there. You know, and you're like okay.
Mm. Yeah. No, I like that, man. I know that notion of the like art therapy, you know, and how you put down like parts of yourself in every single project, you know. And I think it's interesting, especially like years later, when I've like looked back on work I've done, and I also compare my emotional state and the events that were going on at that time when I produced that thing, and I'm like, fucking hell, like it's explicit. Like I didn't realize how obvious it was. If it wasn't for the fact that only I knew what was going on at the time, I'd be almost like, fuck, man, everybody can see this.
Yeah, yeah. You're vulnerable, and you have to be vulnerable as well. You have to allow yourself, like you have to bare your soul. I heard somebody say like you have to write about what you're embarrassed about and what you're shameful about, like what you know your shame is and what you know you're embarrassed. And if you can sort of tap into these type of truthful energies within yourself, if it's a universal truth, people watch it and go, oh, I've never really seen it from that point of view before. And that creates that unique experience of just channeling that energy.
Yeah, I like that universal truth thing, because that's you know, you notice that a lot in how everybody's child, and you know, supply and demand obviously it's slightly less just because of the fact that it's a much more fucking violent context. You know, it's like that's like, especially I mean the fucking, I was good to see you in the third one. That was cool when you first came on. I was like, ah, shit hot. You know, it's good to see you in front of the camera.
Well, we're talking with Peter Mullen for coming in for playing it, and then I can't remember what happened, but I was just like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it. I didn't really like acting and directing because I had to get Ryan in to be the second unit director to make sure that like he could direct with Barry in the scene. So that was weird
Mm.
having my two camera operators work together because obviously part one and part two was with Ryan, and part 3 was with another DP, a guy called Barry. So I had to get Ryan in to work with Barry for one of the scenes, which nobody gave a fuck. Everybody just
Mm.
on the tools and made it work.
I'm sure they would have been excited about being able to do that. You know, that's like a wee shot of being a director. That's fucking shit hot.
Yeah, I knew that's what I mean. I mean, Ryan's a good lad and he's very talented. And I can remember him saying he wanted to do more directing. So I was like, if I can open up that but a wee bit, I was actually thinking about doing a second unit for part 4 because then I can give somebody an opportunity to maybe go away and shoot a couple of scenes and it could
Mm.
free me up
Yeah.
so I can like maybe focus on some drama as well.
Yeah, I mean, animation's totally different. So, what does that mean when you say? Because obviously, on the Trainspotting 2, like second unit director, what is that?
Well, we got like stunt doubles, so people walking down the street, or like flashbacks, the younger versions of uh, Renton and Sick Boy, uh, close-up shots, like hands going into fridges, fucking shots of the trams, fucking loads of shots of the trams, loads of shots of clocks, all the clocks that were sort of gone backwards, buskers up the town, spud. So like we would do like fringe shots, location shots, cutaway shots, insert shots, and put them on a menu for the editor. So we'd call it like the editor would have like a menu there, and they would just flick through and be like, okay, I've got a shot of the rear view mirror here in the car, or I've got a shot of Begbie's hand going into a fridge, getting sparking up a roll up.
Mm.
You know, like fucking the stuff when they were watching on the telly. So just all the cutaway shots, because obviously Danny and that only had the Hollywood guys for like 4 weeks. So we were shooting for like 10 weeks or something. So,
Right.
aye.
So, what is next? Essentially, the supply and demand for. That's what you're looking for.
So Blind Demand Part 4, we want to take that to Cannes Film Festivals and do a showcase at Cannes Film Festival. Uh, I've got a feature film that I want to do that I'm going to try and get money for France, if from France, as if France is a person.
Good
I'm going to
fans.
try
He's a
and
good
get
guy.
some French funding to do like half French, half English speaking movie, just about a wee guy for Paris that comes across here as a photographer and ends up jumping about with one of the young teams. But again, it was just a way you try to like get investment for films and stuff like that as well. So like if I can make stuff that's more culturally not relevant, but like culturally significant as well, while still doing my own thing. So I Supply and Demand Part 4, that's next. I want to do that one. As I say, I want to do Everybody's Child Part 2 and just put that out myself, and some music.
It's cool to have your music in the film, supply and demand. Like that's just it feels like just such a fucking like you're directing it, you're writing it, and having your own music in it. Like that's just it's a really shit hot creative expression altogether.
Yeah, the punk music's good as well. I like writing punk music. I don't know why. I feel like I channel that inner ska demon in myself.
No, it's looking fucking good, man. I mean, so when it comes to AI, what's your thoughts on AI and filmmaking?
It's just a tool. Like, it's just a tool.
I mean, the now it could be fucking
Like they'll get to a point where these fuckers can no employ anybody and sit there with computer analysts to make a film, but you'll not be able to make a film like have that same emotional impact that one
mm,
human speaking to another can. And if you're scared of that, then you probably shouldn't be making films.
mm,
Like if you want to connect with a human, you're going to connect with a human. If you're not, and you're relying on all this technology and this other technology is coming in and it's going to take you, well,
mm,
there's a hierarchy with all that technology. You know, you want to shoot and with an Alexa camera, well, you need to then go through various hoops and funneling systems to get to that camera and with that type of, do you know what I mean? So there's a
mm,
hierarchy involved in the creative industries. What school did you go to? What friends you've made? There's a certain cohort of 30, 40 production companies or something that work in that industry. And then there's a splinter industry all around it. And then there's another sort of fringe industry, which is the guys that are sort of just picking up cameras. Do you know what I mean? So there's like
mm.
other levels of people making stuff as well. But yeah, I think AI is for me, like as much as I've been to uni and that, I didn't consider myself an educated person. So like when I was doing the Irving Welsh scenes, I liked them, but I used AI to help me make it better, you know, and it fucking did. It made it much, much better. So I'm not going to sit there and no use AI because I'm ignorant and think my scene's better. If
Mm.
it can improve it, great. But I still have to give the direction to the actors. I still have to inhibit what AI is saying and the tone and making sure it's sticking with the theme because essentially it's like a 13-year-old as well sometimes if you didn't treat it properly and you just think it's giving you all these great answers because it gives you less work. You know that you use AI to free you up on other stuff. If I can use AI to help me write a synopsis, an outline, character profiles, fucking location agreements, cast agreements, uh, what else? Shooting list. Give me a shooting style like Tarantino. If I can use it for all that, I've got like a film school of people there,
Mm.
but I still have to narrow it down and stuff like that as well and be like, okay, use a wee bit of that. Blah, 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 blah. So it's just a tool to me.
Mm. I like that, man. I like the depth in which you're looking at these kind of things, Gary. But I mean, frustratingly, that all that pops to my mind for that is that's just a timeline then, where because that's almost encompassing the entire creative process. So if you're adding maybe 20 or 30 years on top of it, there'll just be a fucking algorithm that'll be producing all of that with a human's fucking fingerprint.
Which is why I like hiring places and having a shared experience with people.
Mm.
So like I still like my films to be received by a group of people rather than people sitting with a remote control in a house
Hmm.
watching a streaming platform. Like I still want to create a shared bubble, a conscious experience with people. So like that there, AI will never be able to do that. It
Mm.
also doesn't give a fuck about the social economic conditions of people in Scotland's schemes. Like it's written by middle class like for me, what I always remember with AI is a glorified calculator that can give you 5 prompts. It can only do 5 prompts. So anything that you're doing is five, it breaks it down. And once you start figuring out that way, you realise it's just like a car salesman. It's the worst co-accused ever. Do you know? Oh, that's a great idea. I think you should apply for a job as an astronaut. Your lived experience. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
it's it's that. It's just a glorified calculator. But if you can make that work for yourself, you can have a writing desk, you can have a script editor, you can have somebody that writes your emails, your funding applications. So like you use it for what it's worth rather than it using you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Do you feel like no form of um, it's taking a creative part of your project?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a compromise that comes with the user experience. So it takes away me arranging to go up to Starbucks at the Royal Mile to meet somebody who potentially could be a script editor, who could potentially. So it takes because sometimes that's exciting. You don't know who you're meeting. Sometimes you meet these people and you're like, what the fuck? And then other times you meet these people and you're like, these are great people. So that is part of that experience as well. But just out of necessity, by leveling the playing field, if I can compete with production companies by using AI, then I'm a hustler. So I'm going to use AI to make me seem like the best director. And like the way it speaks about me is fucking unbelievable. So I'm like, go, I have low self esteem and a big ego. So I'm
Yeah.
shite at telling people what it is that I do. So that can do all that for me. And again, even with the funding applications, it does all the funding applications and that as well. Like I'm no middle class. I hate all that
Mm.
shit. Like I absolutely hate doing funding applications. I always think it's like a middle class sport. But AI can come in and speak the lingo and do it in such a way that I'm like, great, if it can make money, help me with scripts, I'm down.
I would definitely be up for using it for those kind of things, funding applications and like editing, proofreading, these kind of things. I could see how that would be, useful. I could see how it always be. But if I be brutally honest, I'm fucking shit scared of AI because like it's the animation theme, like the animations that they can make, the AI videos and shit. It's like already at a stage where I'm like, "Ah, shit. Like if it's already at a better production level, and I think there's a part of me that's kind of frightened about the notion of walking into AI and all of a sudden me sitting drawing every fucking scene by hand is now condensed down to typing in a sentence. And I don't like
Yeah,
that
a
in my mind. I'm
prompt.
like
And
stealing my soul, it feels like.
I could imagine so. Like even for the graphic designers, like I would never go to a graphic designer now. Like I would use Canva or I would
Mm.
use something like that, and I can design record covers now. So I can imagine it takes away a chunk of people's processes. But again, you can adapt it as well. Like if you're doing like animation, you could see if it can do it like this, if it could, do you know what I mean? Like maybe
Mm.
using it as a palette rather than, but the technology is there. It's just, you have to adapt to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bastard. It is a bastard.
That's the best way. It's a bastard. Fucking, that's the best way of describing it. No, I'm going to have to. There's a part of me, I mean, I've got about 3 or 4 months away from having the Donny movie finished. Been working on it for about 2.5 years. And let's say it's all drawn by hand, fucking pencil and paper and all that kind of shit. And there's been parts of me that I thought to myself, this is going to be the last project I do like this. You know, this will be the last. I've got a series in mind after, because I want to do the Donny series as well, and that'll be the marketable thing. That I would hope to try and push it in a bigger direction. But there's a series that I came up with. I don't know, like it's that it's way more marketable and less fucking. It's more like just Scottish family shit, and it's just all piss takes about how we talk to each other in the house. Like it's a Scottish version of the Simpsons, you know, and about how that's totally away from Donny and stuff. So I don't know how much of an impact that will have with AI and I don't know, but there's definitely, I do feel like I'm fucking just about to jump over the edge into a different form of how I produce the work. And I think it's just there's nerves and anxieties attached to it because in my mind, like, it's the same with drawing on a tablet. Like, I don't draw on a tablet or anything like that because I think to myself, well, I'm only an artist if the fucking power's on. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
moment this is out of battery, I'm not an artist anymore. All my work's gone. Whereas I've got folders like fucking like hundreds, maybe even like over 1,000 fucking images for the work I've done. It feels more. It feels, I don't know, it feels more like there's more lore attached to that.
Yeah, I put pen to paper as well first before anything. Like I didn't type anything. I've got notepads in every part of my house, and fucking everywhere, just
Mm,
notepad after notepad that I never seem to look back into. But it's all there, all the writings. I just write it out first, and then I'll go back to it and take it from there.
It feels more real. You know, you feel more like fucking Indiana Jones instead of like some fucking computer dude.
A pen and paper. There's something holy about writing with a pen and paper. You know, it's fucking
Mm,
as ancient as we are. So,
yeah.
aye.
I think it's also like what's somebody had said on one of the podcasts before when they went, you can feel that something's AI. It's like it's missing a soul, and I think that's maybe what it's like. Everything we're creatures of energy. Everything is. So I think when you're drawing or writing or any of that kind of thing, there's a like a hidden fucking force of some form that gets channeled through you into the fucking thing.
Like the 50s remix, all the remixes, 50 Cent for the 50s and stuff like that. Initially, you're like, fuck me, that sounds great. Hail Mary for the 60s,
Mm,
blues. And then 2 listens in, you go, this is very generic. Like, initially, the novelty factor in my ears was there,
mm,
but it doesn't encapsulate you the way the original song did.
mm.
You know, and that's the same with all the media. Like, very rarely do you message somebody and say, "Oh, by the way, see that TikTok I seen at 7 o'clock on Friday? It was fucking amazing." It's the way, you know, it's just the way it works. So, it's pen and paper, old fashioned. If it was good enough for Greek philosophers, it's good enough for ignorant cunts like us.